Hey, Bible class, I hope you're doing well on this beautiful Sunday. I want to come to you to give you some instruction for this week. Hey, each week I'm praying, God, give me a word for my students. And this week, God gave me the phrase, all things work together. And I believe this truth has been woven into God's story since the very beginning. And you look at the character of Joseph, and you will find in his life from the very beginning, it seemed as if he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was dealt, you could say he was dealt a difficult hand. Remember back to whenever his brothers took him and they took his coat and they dipped it in blood and handed it to their father and professed him dead. Meanwhile, they had already sold Joseph into slavery. And he ended up in Potiphar's house, where he was accused falsely of doing wrong by Potiphar's wife. Therefore, he was put into jail, wrongfully accused. He was innocent, but yet he was sentenced to be in jail. Now, you could say he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was dealt a difficult hand. And the question would be, is how would he play his hand? Where would he put his hope and faith and trust during these difficult times? Now, we found ourselves in what seems to be really dire, difficult times right now as the virus is spreading, as the counts are going up, not only in those who are contagious, but those who are dying as well. It seems as if all is spiraling downward out of control. There's mass chaos, mass confusion. You could say that we are being dealt the wrong hand. You could say that it seems that we are in the wrong place at the wrong time. And the question is how will you move forward amidst these difficult circumstances? How will you play the hand that you are dealt? I love the phrase at the end of Joseph's story in Genesis 50:20. It says, what the enemy meant for evil, God is working for our good. And even God's creation echoes this very truth. We just came off of a winter. It was a bleak winter, but yet it was still a cold winter. And if you look at this bush behind me, if you would have seen it just a few weeks ago, it looked quite lifeless. It looked dead. But during those winter months, as God poured rain down on us and refreshed our earth, this plant caught life. This plant, you could say, was brought back to life. And what was once a ugly, old, rotten, what seemed to be dead plant is now beautiful and alive and blooming. All things work together. From the beginning of God's story, even to the middle of God's story, God shows us this truth. In fact, the Apostle Paul preached this truth so well to those who were in Rome. He was imprisoned. He was enchained. He was in difficult circumstances, yet he played his hand well by penning a letter to the Romans. And he says this, he says, God, works all things together for good for those who are called according to His purpose. God is working all things together. So while it may seem like we are in a difficult spot, He's working this for our good. One example is the fact that you are at home right now instead of being in school. I mean, this is a good thing for you. Difficult circumstances, but a good thing for you. Another thing that I've truly enjoyed over this past week is being at home with my family, where we've enjoyed quality time together, building our relationship. We built a tent the other day and camped in the backyard. Difficult circumstances that we're in right now, but He's working it for our good. This week, I want you to remember this phrase: all things work together. So are we going to be together during this time? That is my hope. That is my prayer. In fact, as instruction from last week to this week, even on your quiz, if you want to retake it, just send me a message and we can set that up. I want you to do well during this time, and I want you to enjoy studying God's Word, and I want us to be together. And so I'm going to try a few different things this week for us to be together. But first, I want us to be together when it comes to our character project. We just looked at the character of Joseph and his life. I want you to take your character and I want you to bring them to life. And so what you're going to do is you're going to work on a monologue. A monologue is a simple, short sketch, a drama where you are in the sandals of your character. You're going to be writing a monologue in the first person, a short monologue. I want this to be 3 to 5 minutes, 300 to 400 words. And I've included a process for you here on Edmodo. So you have 4 steps. Step 1 is to go and view a PowerPoint presentation that just introduces you to the concepts of a monologue. What are the essentials in a monologue? What are some tips to write your monologue? What are some examples of a monologue? Step 2, you're going to, if you have not already, you're going to choose your character and you're going to choose the story you're going to write. So you need to choose your character, and then you need to choose a specific story, maybe a significant event in their life, and you need to bring that event to life. And so step 2 is I've included a list of questions for you to look at the biblical passages of your character and then answer some questions about their background. And that'll lead you to step 3, where you're going to just outline your monologue. And I've included a 5-step process. And it's just the 5 steps to a story. From the introduction to the climax to the conclusion, I've outlined your monologue for you. And then the final step is you're going to put this to paper and you're going to type out a 300 to 400 word manuscript for your monologue. And I've included an example for you from the skit guys on the Apostle Paul. Now, this is a 4-step process. It's not all intended to be done in 1 week, so take a deep breath. Don't worry. You will have a whole month to work on this project. And there's 4 steps, so if you want to take 1 a week and work through this project, you're certainly welcome to take that approach. I want you to work at your own pace. I've outlined all 4 steps for you from the beginning, and then I'm going to include small, simple steps to take along the way to end up with your manuscript of your monologue from your character on April the 20th. Now take a deep breath. This is the only thing that we're going to do this week. So again, I want you to work at your own pace. Now, I want us to be together, and I want us to work on something over these next few weeks. I want us to work on our relationship. I'm going to try to make myself accessible and available to you through different platforms. I started this YouTube page. I am available for chat on Edmodo or on email. You can also call or text me with your parents' supervision and permission. But also, finally, I want to set up a Zoom conference for us to get together and actually have class together. Now, it won't be formal class. It will be us just talking, perhaps me praying for you, and then answering any questions that you have for me. And then finally, I've also thought about doing a Bible class live every Sunday. And so I'm going to get some feedback on that and see what you all think, perhaps doing a Bible study together. But I want us to be together. And I know this. During this time, God is working all things together. So let's be together. God bless and have a great week.